What's up, guys? Welcome back to Talkin Hawkins, our Stranger Things in review. Welcome to Project Potter, guys. My name is Kyle, your host. If you haven't been to the channel before, guys, welcome. Go check out the other content, of course. These drop every Sunday night, guys. We're going through Stranger Things. This is Season 2, Episode 7, The Lost Sister. This one, very out of place compared to the rest of the season. I know this is kind of the one I think people like the least. We'll see how I feel about it, guys. I will say, upon rewatching this one, this is, I think, the second time I've seen these episodes in Season 2. I did enjoy it more, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I loved it. If you haven't seen the series before, guys, what I do is go through kind of my favorite thoughts on the episode, my Hawkins hero, which is my favorite character, the mouth breather, which is my least favorite character, and a score out of 10. So jumping into the episode here, guys. As always, this episode much different than the other ones because we get very little Mike. We get a quick scene with Mike where Eleven sees him kind of in between there, but we really don't get any of the crew. We don't get Dustin, we don't get Lucas, we don't get Max. We get a quick thing of Hopper, but it's really just those connected to 11. Hopper is the strongest, and then Mike is the second strongest. But this is all about introducing a new crew, and they're all like freaks. And I think Callie is the only one who, I think she's number 8. I don't remember, but she's like the main one. I thought she was excellent in this, but she's really the only one I think that is like an experiment or part of the experiment. The other people are just like outcasts, I think. So that was kind of weird to me, but it's all about introducing them and her cool powers where she like can get in people's minds and make them see spiders and create those huge gateways and stuff. And that's all really, really cool. And I was like, honestly, probably a much cooler power than Elle's power, even though, you know, telekinesis is pretty cool too. But she kind of joins them to go through and hunt down the people who hurt them. And they track down the guy who like hurt their mom and then was ordered by Papa. And Papa is in this episode, although he kind of being used as Callie's using her powers against Elle to convince her to be like, yo, we can track down Papa. We're going to kill him because the guy is like, yo, Papa's alive. And they're like, Papa's dead, dude. And he's like, no. The guy's like, I'm serious. He's not. That's a cool scene where they go through the apartment and then like Elle straight up force chokes him, dude. That was sick. Where she's like, it's like they make the sound and she's like, you have failed me for the last time, Ray. And she drags him along and the guy's face is getting all red. And she's like, not too fast. She's like, you know, they didn't give your mother mercy. And I was like, damn, dude. And I didn't mention, guys, Callie is like the girl who in Mama's flashbacks, Callie is like the little girl next to 11 that they were both playing together. So they were like the two escaped sisters that, you know, got out obviously and have powers and stuff. So although we don't really find out how Callie got out, I don't think, or maybe if we did, it was like dialogue exposition and the dialogue wasn't great in this episode. But yeah, 11 is straight up choking out Ray, and then she sees the picture of the kids and she stops, and then we find out there's kids in the other room and she's like, oh, I can't kill father. And then she probably thinks of Hopper and stuff like that. So she holds off, and I'm like, good, because 11's not a bad person, even though she goes in the convenience store and like wrecks this dude. She's like, and like sends him over to the side. And I was like, that was pretty dope, dude. But then they're like robbing convenience stores and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is a bad crew, dude. Like these people are basically like, we're outcasts, so we don't get along, so let's rob everything. And it's like, nah, dude, that's not Elle is not a bad person. She might be a little frustrated and a little misunderstood sometimes, and she's been hunted and, you know, tracked down by bad people. She's a good person at heart, and that's why people are drawn to her. So that's pretty much the gist of the episode, guys. Again, it focuses solely around them. I think it was a decent like world building, but it just kind of felt like they needed an excuse to like introduce Callie, which I think was really cool. And I thought she was great, but the rest of the crew I could care less about. And they just, it was a pretty diverse group of characters, but I didn't really care for them. And it was just kind of like, I don't know. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on the episode. Okay, guys, the Hawkins hero for this one, it's going to go to Callie as 8. I thought she was really cool. She had some good emotional moments, I thought, and she was trying to like play like angel versus devil on Elle's shoulder. Her motivations were maybe a little bit questionable, although she has the coolest power. So I was immediately like, this girl is pretty neat. And she tried to connect with Elle to some extent, and they're obviously connected through their shared like trauma, but she can like, again, make people like, he's like holding a knife and he like drops it and he's like, and there's like spiders going everywhere and the cops are chasing them at the end, and she creates this huge like amazing structure. She's like Mysterio, basically. She was the coolest one out of the group, and there weren't too many characters. And obviously, we already knew about Hopper and Mike and all that stuff. So Elle was great, and I love how she's like bitching, and they give her like a glow up and everything, but that's not really who Elle is. And I like how she at the end she's like, I got to go back to my people. But Callie, I thought was really, really good. I thought the actress was great, and she was, I think, my favorite character in this one. Okay, guys, the mouth breather for this one, it's going to be the mouth breathers, actually. It's everyone in that group besides Callie, because I didn't really care. There were a couple of like kind of interesting characters, but I just thought the dialogue was cheap. And it's like they tried to build this whole world, but it's like you can't throw this into one episode. And the timing for this episode is weird, where we're building. Elle like goes away, but it's like we should have had that, I think, right after Elle had the vision with Mama. Like, I think they should have built that up instead of like we went back to Will and then there's things happening and they're in trouble. And it's kind of like, oh, guess what? They need help. Elle's going to be there to save them. It's about the group, guys. And I just thought that like it was just a cookie cutter, like one dimensional, super generic group. Like out of misfit toys, like nobody belongs. But other than Callie, everyone else was just like cyberpunk kids. And I'm like, okay, well, have you guys tried getting a job? Have you tried fitting into the world? Like, they're like, nah, man, we got piercings and tattoos and we're just going to rock out. And it's like, okay, but there's still a place for you in the world. It's not like you don't have to just be outcast living like bonfire by bonfire. So yeah, I just didn't really find myself connecting to anyone in the group really outside of Callie. Guys, that brings us to the score. I do think this is the weakest one so far. This is a 6-7 for me. I did like this episode more than I liked it the first time. There were a couple moments. The scene in the apartment where, first of all, where force chokes, that dude was awesome. I was like, wow, I did not remember that. Finding out that Papa is still alive. And then like we get, obviously, Martin Brennan. He comes in there and he's like, you have a wound, 11. And he's like, it's festering. Do you remember what that means? And but that's just Callie messing with his head. But it's really cool that they're setting up like future plot points there. I thought the effects, the Callie's powers, and then Elle just like kind of using the force basically was really cool. But again, the rest of the group guys didn't interest me. The cops coming after them was really weird. When they were like robbing stores and Elle was kind of like a bad guy, I was like, this isn't who Elle is. So I think although it's a decent attempt, and I found myself more emotionally invested than I did the first time I watched this episode when it aired years ago. It's not the great episode, and it's kind of like the theme for season 2 where they have some cool ideas, but it's just not quite executing. Although I feel like season 2 was just getting really, really strong, and then they cut away from it for a week, and it's like we got to get back to the real story with Will. But I like how Elle kind of goes on this journey, and she finds her sister, and then she's like, come on, this is why your mother sent you out here. And she's like, no, I have to help my friends. And they're like, they can't save you. And she's like, no, but I can save them. And I'm like, okay, this is like a pilgrimage for Elle, basically. So I do like that part of it, guys, but I think overall the weakest episode of the season so far. All right, guys, that's it for Talkin Hawkins, another episode. This is obviously going to be our shortest one, guys. I don't know the runtime on this, obviously, until I edit it, but I think this is going to be very quick. I just don't have too much to say on this episode. Again, it's a good idea. It just wasn't executed that great, I think. They were kind of going for a cyberpunk vibe, and it's like they didn't quite have, or maybe like a Blade Runner or something, but they didn't quite have the vibe down or the casting, I think, for that. So, or the environment, really. They're just kind of walk around the city. So I would have liked to see a deeper dive into that, or a couple episodes, instead of just like framing everything into one. We saw this group like the very beginning of the season, and so it's weird to get them like I think the very first shot of the season, and then wait 6 episodes and then give them a whole episode, but it's like not really building anything because Elle just ends up going home, and it's just like I think 2 episodes actually, because there's an extra episode in season 2. I think it could have been used to build these 2, or if they would have done the opening scene and in this episode second, I think it would have been great, but it just felt so disconnected from what was before. So I didn't love that. But yeah, either way, guys, hope you enjoyed me kind of talking about this. If you did like the content, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing. These drop every Sunday, guys. We got 2 more episodes left in season 2, and then it's on to season 3, guys. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, guys, peace.